Hey everyone. Okay, so just getting this out of the way first, the episode has Hiyori finally revealing her true identity and intentions to Orochi, which is to see he dies this day. And honestly, that look of horrific realization on Orochi's face was frankly very satisfying to see, because for the longest time he's had this vision, this fantasy in his mind about the woman known as Komurasaki, and that he will have her as his bride, but now to find out she's the daughter of the man he killed, you see the look of the pure, unfiltered realization on his face. It's as they like that. Yes, he is going to die this day. It's as they say, what goes around comes around, and Orochi has had this coming for a long time. I also like how this scene kind of works on two parallels, mostly one major one, but there are still two to take from. The first is that it's obviously a mirror of what happened with Toki, and how, in the same way she died in the blaze that destroyed Kozuki Castle, years later Hiyori is surrounded by flames, ready to see the man that destroyed her family burn. Like, in essence, Hiyori is prepared to sacrifice herself in order to see Orochi dead. And again, kind of paralleling how Toki had sacrificed herself in order to save her children. Now, years later, Hiyori's prepared to sacrifice herself in order to see Orochi burn. Like, it's, again, kind of fucked up, but I kind of like the parallel. Of course, it also works in that sense where you could say in how Odin, even though there are two different ways of death, even though like with Odin dying from being boiled and Orochi more or less going to die from being consumed by flames, the two different methods are still very much correlated to fire, and it is interesting how fire is ultimately the thing that is going. It is ultimately fire. Ultimately interesting how it is fire that's going to be the very thing that kind of kills them ultimately. Now, obviously, having read the manga, I do know there's a little bit more to the whole thing than this, and when what happens here, probably with either next episode or within the next couple episodes happens, it kind of renders the whole moment of Hiyori hoping he burnt, wanting to sacrifice herself burns a little bit inert, but so to speak, but it is still powerful in the sense of this is the moment where Orochi is finally facing down his retribution. So yeah, it just all around, I really like how this played out in terms of the role Hiyori played in this whole episode. With that said, we also get a pretty interesting moment with Momonosuke where he reveals that Zunisha had told him something pertaining to the idea of opening up the borders, but we also see him hesitate, because even though he understands the base idea of what's to happen now, he's also left wondering whether or not he's ready to carry the burden that's to come after of whether, because after whatever is going to happen happens, he'll need to have the moral fortitude and the moral and the strength of will in order to be able to protect the people of Wano. Like, he needs to be ready to be able to protect them. Not helped, and this isn't helped either by the fact that Odin tore out the final page of his journal, which has left Momonosuke second guessing himself even more. And it's in this moment, honestly, where I really kind of kick myself for not realizing what Oda was playing at with this, and just the kind of monumental reveal this actually was at the time. Because if I'm not going to spoil it necessarily, but if you think about it, in terms of everything that's happened so far, there's only one reason why Kaido considers Wano to be the most important enough to act as a base. In order to act as a base, in order to gather pirates together. Hell, even more so, why he needed Yamato's power in order to supposedly find what he's looking for. There's only one reason why the simple act of opening the borders are dangerous. It's because Wano's secret is something that has been sought after by many a pirate, even by many a pirate, the government, just everyone since And the thing is, it's something that has been teased out since the Straw Hats entered the Grand Line, and even more so enough, it all began with Alabasta of all places. Like, for anime onlys who haven't been spoiled, I know I'm still being cryptic, but if you think about it, you'll know what it is I'm talking about just by mentioning Alabasta. So, yeah. And it's like, again, kicking myself because I can't believe I didn't realize it was this before. Like, the whole place just even kind of looks like a ship, so to speak. But with that said, there's not much more to say with this chapter. As in normal fashion for a One Piece episode, it's addressing what's going on with everyone else. But in this instance, one thing I do like is how we are shown that despite technically winning having won all but one battle left on Nagashima with the Kaido fight, we've still suffered immense loss. We've still suffered rather immense and key losses with Kiku, Kinemon, Zoro, and Izo at this point as well. And even though Izo is like the only one that's dead, having any of them in the state they are is still a huge loss for our side. And honestly, looking back on Izo's death, it is one of those things that also makes me wonder if Marco is going to die as well at some point in the series, or if he's being set up as the last surviving member of the Whitebeard Pirates by the end of the series, at least when talking about the major players of the crew. Although, it just kind of feels like that's probably the route we're going here, I just don't know. Although, I do like how this episode balances the idea that although we do have losses, there are still victories we can celebrate as well, both big and small. Of course, now we know the big fight with Kaido is about to take a bit of a turn, as basically as the bowler hat guy in the CP0 is being given orders from the government, which in order to take out Straw Hat, which I did laugh a bit at just how openly the agent in question stated the obvious, which is that if he interferes with Kaido's fight, it's going to be a complete repeat of what happened all those years ago with the old lady in the aftermath of Kaido's fight with Odin. And ironically enough, what that guy does next is only going to exacerbate the problem the government is worried about. Like, I find, again, the government is so fucking stupid that they're going to be causing their own downfall. It's kind of amazing in my mind. Also, for as small a detail as it is, I also really like how we do see Kaido actually showing remorse over Big Mom's defeat, and that despite being rivals, he did genuinely respect her, as he was the only one who was there for him when no one else was. Like, Big Mom was the only one Kaido could confide in when he was younger. And although I will say, from a technical standpoint, it is kind of weird to see the same Seiyu voicing a young Big Mom. I don't know, something about that just seemed weird. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, @NLS Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and add yourself around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime signing off. Later, everyone.